Good morning. This is Jason Miles with the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance and Manufacturing News Network. We're excited today about a really cool call we've got lined up. We're pairing safety and HR together is the topic for the roundtable for our call, and we've got a killer lineup of speakers and people that are going to be contributing, sharing their best practices and seeing what's going on in the industry. With that being said, we just want to make sure that you understand the format. If this is the first time you plugged into this call, the format of this call is for industry leaders to be sharing best practices, and so that we can all learn from each other. And as we go through this war on the coronavirus, we got a lot of tools that are out there, and I believe that this is a great opportunity for us to be able to build and grow relationships uniquely, although it's virtual. Like I've said before, the mission of Georgia Manufacturing Alliance is to help support and grow manufacturing in the state of Georgia. And now with these tools, we're growing it well beyond. We got people that are joining us from all over the country, plugging into these calls live and following up. We're getting great feedback from the ideas that have been shared. Again, that's not anything that I've done, but what you guys are bringing to the table. So what we want you to do is bring your best and share your best ideas. Anything that you feel that we can do, or any ideas that you've seen implemented that you think would benefit and help other manufacturers. Again, we've got 4 or 5 folks that are going to be chiming in about some of the things that they've seen. And I'm really excited to bring Callie Manley online. And Callie is a industrial hygiene safety specialist. And she works with us from a company called Burmac. Burmac has been a longtime friend. Kate Beatty has been pretty involved with our organization, and I reached out to their team and said, give us a little bit of some ideas of what they're seeing. I know that their team is being stretched pretty thin right now. They got a lot of stuff going on, but we're really blessed to have Callie on the line with us. And Callie, if you would tell us just a little bit about who you are. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you're plugged into the environmental health and safety space, and then we'll talk a little bit about some ideas and concepts. Okay, I'm gonna flip this over so we can see Callie a little better. Stand by. All right. Okay, go ahead, Callie.
Hey guys, I'm Callie Manley. I've been with Burmac since early October of 2019. So not very long, but I've enjoyed it so far. My background is actually with Emory. I worked in the SCDU, which is the same unit that houses the COVID-19 patients currently. And I did industrial hygiene there, and it was just the hospital scene got a little bit much for me. I was there for 3 years, and so I slowly backed out of it, but still enjoyed the safety world, and that's how I got into the industrial side of it.
Okay, great. And where'd you go to school?
At UGA.
At UGA. Okay, good deal. And I know we did a little pre-show chat and talked a little bit about some of the things that you guys have seen. Give us some ideas that you have seen properly implemented, in the safety space as far as employees and maybe location and separation. What are you seeing out there that seems to be working in the manufacturing space?
So for the most part, we aren't allowed in a lot of these places, but we still have a couple that we can visit since we are the safety people who do the walkthrough for them.
Right.
But we have a place up here in North Atlanta, and they're usually on shifts, and I think that they've gotten away from that. So now they've separated their production floor. So instead of doing shifts at this point, they just separated the people on their floor. So the left side of the building comes in first thing in the morning, and then the right side of the building does the night shift. So they've just completely separated their masses, and they've got probably 70 employees. So it basically cuts in half the amount of people who are in the facility at one time.
Interesting.
And in addition to that, I think they told me every 2 hours, somebody from their staff is like the delegated person to sanitize all the common areas. So men and women's restrooms, the break room, refrigerator, microwave handles, doorknobs, and anything like that. So it's somebody working there, they get a 2-hour break, and then they go sanitize, and then somebody shifts off with them.
Okay. So there's constant cleaning, it sounds like.
Constant, yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's working for them, and it keeps their staff really engaged in what's going on, because it's easy to forget, I mean, we're not used to having so many rules about touching things and touching ourselves and whatnot, but they've always worn latex gloves, so they're continuing with that. But I think that the cleaning is really keeping their mind on
Mhm.
it. So I
Okay.
think it's working for them.
Okay. Cool. 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 Have you seen any challenges with having access for that company or any of the other companies that you guys work with for for PPE, for gloves or for hand sanitizer? Have you heard any? You know, what's the word on the
Uh,
street around that?
I know they started pretty strong with their sanitizing because they have to use alcohol during their entire process.
Okay.
They had drums of this stuff. So yeah, I don't know if they're struggling yet with the PPE. I know that they're good on gloves. I'm not sure about masks. They
Hmm.
have the opportunity to wear dust masks within the facility. Not all employees do. But as far as cleaning supplies go, they're still on the okay side of it. But I assume that that will tinker out as time goes on.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, I know that there's a, it's really interesting to see how we're all, we're dealing with what's going on right now, and if we can make it through the end of the day, I mean, heck, for some of us, if we can make it through the next 30 minutes. It's a, that forecasting is shortened quite a bit. But have you guys at Burmac put together any kind of or had any discussions about plans for companies that are going to be exiting the quarantine, process? I mean, I know that there's different protocols for cleanliness and that kind of thing. But I know that there's been, of course, there's several manufacturers in Georgia that have had active cases of employees in a production environment that they've shut down. Um, do you have any guidance on, what we need to be looking for, or if there's any plans in place to maybe do some training on how you would decontaminate or whatever an area once it's been shut down? You got any insights on
So
that?
we have written some plans for our construction guys.
Okay.
Mostly what to do on site. The general rules that we're going to implement on site are A, B, and C. And, if you have an employee who is suspected of having COVID-19, the first thing you do is isolate that employee, go
Mhm.
ahead and sanitize where he or she was. But as far as coming out of quarantine, I haven't thought that far ahead yet because we're still in the process of, all right, we got to figure out what we're going to do right now.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
so I don't really have a projected view of what we're gonna do yet, but as far as what's going on now, we've definitely written a whole bunch of plans for our construction guys because they're still on site every day and they've
Mhm.
got their concerns, rightfully so.
Mhm.
So it's been interesting to sort of implement how things are gonna go every single day, what the protocol is, and so forth.
Hmm. Yeah, and a lot of your customer base. I mean, you have a good mix between manufacturing and construction, and so the construction is still deemed essential, right? So, is it all construction as far as you know? I mean, is it everybody that's in the construction space? I mean, because all job sites that I've seen now, we're listed as essential because we're a news, we're classified in the news. Provider organization through all the events. So I drive into to my office every day, and all the spots that I've driven by, everybody still looks like full guns. So
Yeah, construction wise, I haven't really seen a slowdown as far as workers on site.
okay.
But manufacturing, I've definitely seen they've cut a lot of employees. They don't let visitors come in,
Mhm.
which is fine. But the employee cutback, I think, is taking a toll on a lot of them.
Okay. Okay. I got you. Well, Callie, I really, really do appreciate your participation in this call for sure today. I would love to have you kind of hang on the line because we're probably going to bounce several questions around, and I'm sure you got some insight for some of those. So,
Sure.
um, and what I'd like to do is open this up to Mr. Roger Grabman. Roger Grabman is one of our longtime friends and GMA partners, and Roger is a professional engineer. He pretty engaged in the community, is engaged in GMA and other associations. And Roger, if you would tell us who you are, what your company is, what other associations are you affiliated with, and if you've got any insights on what you've seen successful implementations of safety protocol, and as it relates to the coronavirus.
Ah, okay. Well, I have my own engineering company. I'm a registered professional engineer, as Jason mentioned. That's a license to provide engineering services. In addition to that, I am the state president for the Georgia Society of Professional Engineers. And the Metro chapter of GSPE is having a program this coming Monday, and it's on the events calendar for GMA. It is by, excuse me, it is by YouTube, so it's a virtual meeting.
Okay.
Additionally, I am a member of the American Society of Safety Professionals.
Okay.
This is a mixture of HR and safety people. How many people here are primarily safety as opposed to primarily HR?
Looks like we got mostly, and I've got it on speaker view, so it may not be able to see everybody. It looks like a
I've
good
got
mix.
it in
Yeah.
grid, but
Yeah.
okay. There is among the safety professionals something known as the hierarchy of mitigation. And I'm trying to share the screen. And there we go. Can folks see this?
Yep. Yep. We got it.
All right. What this image portrays is the preference of how to control a risk, how to mitigate a risk. So the top, the blue, is what's most desired, and the red at the bottom is the least desired. So if you can eliminate a hazard, whatever it be it somebody's fingers getting amputated or exposure to chemicals, you want to use preferably blue, green, yellow, orange, or red.
Mm-hmm.
So you start off with elimination. That would be the best thing you can do if you can eliminate a hazard. So by sending people home, you've eliminated the hazard of corona exposure in the workplace.
Right.
If you can do a substitution, and I don't know how you do a substitution.
Yeah, you send your neighbor to work for you.
Yeah, get your neighbor to do it, yes. Engineering controls. Perhaps you've been in stores and they've put up a cough screen between you and the cashier. That would be an example of an engineering control. Administrative controls is, it says here, change the way people work. Those are rules that you put in place, procedures. And curiously, at the very bottom, PPE is the least desired.
Right.
But PPE is the one that gets the most press right now. And I find that very curious.
Right.
Well, the second most press. It's also very dependent upon the administrative controls of that PPE. So if your program says that those working in a building are going to wear a mask, and the supervisor isn't there to see this, how does he know that it's being enforced?
Right.
So,
okay.
That's just a little blurb that I would throw out there. Now, how do I unshare this?
Okay.
Can you unshare this, Jason?
Yeah, I got that. Hold on a second. Stop participant sharing. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Got it.
Thank you. So, anyways, that's just my engineering contribution to the discussion, and that hierarchy that I just showed you is available in many places. So if you Google hierarchy risk mitigation, you can see the same triangle in lots of different places.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, Roger, I definitely appreciate it. That was spot on. That was exactly what I was hoping to get. You know, and again, if we can eliminate the hazard on the front end, PPE is the last option if you know, we can't figure out anything to do in between. So again, pretty straightforward with that. I will, Roger, if you want to shoot me a copy of that image, I'll be glad to include that in the show notes as well. So it's one of the things we're going to try to do on each of these calls. Koki Eckert has been phenomenal in recapping the core of these calls and sharing with us through the show notes recaps. If you have not had a chance to read through those, I would encourage you to do that because she does a phenomenal job of cleaning that up for us and giving us the bullet points. So thanks, Koki, again. All right. So now what I'd like to do let's hop over to Joe Friedman. I know that you have got a lot of stuff going on with Atlanta Tents and Events, and you got some special things that you're going to do for the GMA family. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do, and kind of how you're engaged in the space.
Sure. Thanks, Jason. Joe Friedman, CEO of Peachtree Tents and Events. We're in the event service business, and while the disaster work wasn't our core business until a few weeks ago, we've always done it, really, since 2006.
Okay.
We have 8 operations in 7 states throughout the Southeast. Some of the work we're doing in Atlanta, we're doing work for Duracell, Fresh Express, Emory Hospital, Urgent Care, and Delta Airlines. We're doing a tremendous amount of work throughout the Southeast with the OEM, the Office of Emergency Management, and FEMA. But what we're doing specifically that would relate to what you guys do is we're providing temporary break rooms, wellness and employee screening tents, and workstations that are in compliance with social distancing guidelines for essential workers and their customers. So, as we talk about safety, if your business is deemed to be an essential business where you have essential workers, it's super important to keep the distance between your folks and your customers if they're coming in. So we have solutions. We have temporary structures. We have tents. We have all that a business would need to stay operational. So oftentimes what we're doing is we create a barrier. So if the workers are inside, obviously, you're separating them. But a lot of times when people are coming into the facility, even employees, you want an area where you can pre-screen them, take their temperature, make sure they're social distancing. And those are the types of solutions that we brought throughout the Southeast. We do hand cleaning stations, temporary restrooms, restroom trailers, lighting, seating, anything that minimizes the risk of infection to your workforce or your customers. That's the type of solutions that we've been providing. And we also identified a resource for masks that I sent Koki an email. Now, they have been overwhelmed with just me, telling people about them. Yeah. But it looks like another I don't know how many thousands of they're bringing in, but it'll be here in about 7 days. Now, these are KN95 masks. They don't compete with the hospitals. They're not the N95 that we would be taking from the first responders, but they are sanctioned by the FDA and the CDC to work against COVID-19. So those are the ones that our guys are using. We're doing also, that's not necessarily related to this, but you'll see them around town, are those drive-through testing facilities. And what's real important for us is when they go up, it's fine because our guys are doing their best to social distance between each other. But once these facilities are activated, we don't know what this virus does to the surroundings. So we have to have protective gear when we're moving the tents around or doing any type of adjustment and certainly taking them down. So that's kind of what we do. And we'd love to work with GMA and help you guys. One of the things we are doing for you guys is any business that you do bring to us, we're going to treat you as a friends and family. And if and really anyone that you would call. So our prices do not change. They've been the same, every year since we've done it. And what we're doing is we're giving the friends and family discount to anybody that calls from GMA.
Cool. I really do appreciate that. That's a great value add. And I appreciate you being a part of this and giving us some insights on what's going on, and sharing what other manufacturers are doing, because I think that separation is, that's a key tool. Roger alluded to that. If you can eliminate that bottleneck and, separate the people, that's a great way to do that. I know that it's not quite as fun as all the cool stuff that y'all typically do, all the parties and the stuff, but we're all kind of filling in where we can. All right. Well, thanks again, Joe, for being on the call.
Thank
all
you.
Right, Mr. Sloan McGavick, tie down. Tell us who you are, what it is that you do, and kind of how you're, what you guys are doing there. It's your facility on the safety aspect.
Okay. Okay. No, thank you for having me again. And just to clarify, it's a McCarvich, Jason.
McCarvich. I screw that up every time, but eventually you'll change it to
Yep.
McCarvich.
I'll get around to that once we get done with this. No, so I'm McCarvich here with the Tie Down Engineering down here in Atlanta, Georgia. We're primarily a metals manufacturer in the Atlanta area. We have 8 facilities, right at 300 production personnel. And just to reiterate what a lot of people are saying is in terms of eliminating the hazards, that social distancing aspect is absolutely critical and key. And frankly, in a manufacturing environment with as much floor space as we're fortunate to have at our disposal, there's no reason why we can't maintain that minimum 6-foot distance. As well, on the office staff, that's one of the areas that we've noticed that it's pretty difficult to maintain those distances at times. So we do have shared offices, and we are on a rotation basis in terms of having one person come in the office, the other person stay at home and work remotely. We also have the hand sanitizing stations at our common touch points, especially with our key card entries. We have since done away with key card entries coming in the building since we no longer accepting visitors, and we posted plenty of signage out there. So frankly, we don't need to be fumbling around and trying to handle like getting into a secured access area of a facility. Frankly, everyone there should be understood that basically limited access, period. So, but one of the things that we actually did start doing on the production floor, as was mentioned yesterday, pretty much every forklift out there has a cup holder. And you, right off the bat, you're not supposed to even have like an open beverage in a production environment, just per OSHA. So we got rid of drinks and closed containers entirely and just replaced them with squirt bottles with, and I forget the actual solution type, but there are cleaning solutions out there where by simply spraying it onto an affected area, you don't have to worry about wiping it down. It will, in fact, kill the coronavirus and other bacteria. And that seems like it to be just a real quick, simple means for quickly sanitizing an area, especially something like a forklift where you may have multiple operators getting on and off of that piece of equipment day in and day out. And also, I'm really glad to hear about the seeing that safety hierarchy. I'm familiar with that, but right now the big focus on everybody's minds is, well, how do I get PPE? A lot of times, just having that visible, sensible, this is now what we have at our disposal is reassuring. So frankly, whatever we can do to get a hold of more PPE, that is like the primary thing that our employees keep asking for. And, we try to obviously stay calm and say, well, guys, you frankly can't get sick if you maintain all these other protocols with maintaining distance and, common hygiene. So we just keep reemphasizing that fact. But frankly, upper management, we're trying to do everything we can to get that PPE equipment so that we can all ultimately offer that just extra layer of assurance that, we are in fact working safely and doing what we have to, basically a pretty important job here, essential business. We have to stay open, get going, get these things, get everything going again quickly.
Yeah, cool. How are you doing as far as head count? I mean, I know yesterday you said it was kind of a tough day on that space.
Yesterday we had 20% out. It's that same number today.
Okay.
We do have people pending on results from significant others that may have been exposed. So when that happens, we obviously isolate the entire department. But that's also part of the challenge. I mean, right now tests are taking upwards of a week to get back. And so far everything has come back, negative, but that's, we're obviously not going to try to shorten that process just because we're waiting for a test to come back. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah. And you got a week.
So far we're only saying 20%.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Hopefully it'll stay at that level and not dip any further. So
hopefully improves.
Yes. Get everybody back to where they're supposed to be. All right. So, Joy, thank you, Sloan. I really appreciate that. And eventually I will get it as the proper McCarvich, not McCavish, McCarvich. Finally, we've known each other for years now, and thank you for catching me.
I'm just Sloan.
Just rolling with it, baby. That's what I do. Yeah, just don't. All right, perfect. Thank you, buddy. All right, so Miss Joy Duncan, are you available to join us? I know you got a little noise in the background occasionally, but I'd love to have you give us a little insight on what's going on in your world, Joy. All right, beautiful.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. We are running really at partial capacity.
Okay.
We've got a couple of people in that doing some projects for some of our customers that are considered essential customers.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a couple of challenges where we provide several employees at Ethicon that go over there every day. And one of the supervisors had a grandchild over that tested positive.
Oh, okay.
He was at her house on a Saturday. However, she practiced some distancing. Her daughter stopped by because she has elderly parents that live with her.
Right.
However, because he tested positive, we found out last Tuesday, and there's an interesting scenario where if you don't have any symptoms at all, the doctors will not test you.
Right.
So what they told her, of course, is to wait for 72 hours. And if she did not have any symptoms at all in 72 hours, then she was to go back to work.
Mm-hmm.
Well, y'all can imagine the Ethicon said, whoa, I don't know if we subscribe to that, to what they're saying. So
Right.
I pulled a couple strings, tried to pull some strings where my mother-in-law works for health, is on the board of a health clinic. They also said, nope, there's not symptoms, we won't test, even if she has been around someone that's had it.
Oh, wow.
She drives a van for there are 6 or 7 of them that ride together every morning. That's a challenge with social distancing, but we've got some people with disabilities. They don't have their own transportation, and we've worked there for 15 years, and we are very fast. They've actually had to shut down part of their production without us there. So we get to go back Monday, but Ethicon did want us 2 weeks, and we've had that in a couple of different situations. And so what the doctors are doing and the time it takes the test to get back, or whether they will test, is a little different than what our customers would like to see or what we can do here. So if we've got anybody that's been around someone, we're having them quarantine at home for 2 weeks. Because we run a different kind of agency, has really had some impact on a lot of our employees. We had to put them on temporary. We did a 2-week, unemployment scenario, just temporary, so that they would be getting paid since we can't bill the customers. So there have been some challenging things like that, but we've got some people here. We're doing some kitting right now for a company called Peerless, which is a contractor for the government. And so we're just working away. I'm coming in. We have limited schedule, but we're trucking, and for the most part, everybody's healthy. We already have our tables well more than our station 6 feet apart. And there's only a few of us in at any one given time. And we wipe down every touch point with dermal cider bleach and a cleaner twice a day, even though there's only a few of us here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, better be safe than sorry. That's perfect.
Yep. So I know that was more than anybody probably really wanted to hear, but we've been kind of impacted in different ways. Someone has been around someone, and none of us know that if we're out at a store or who knows what, but when you do know it, you have to take every precaution necessary. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, that is a great update, Joy. I really appreciate you adding in for that.
Thanks.
All right. And so today we've talked primarily about the safety aspect or safety angle. And now I'd like to transition. We've got Randy Brunson on the line with us, and he's going to share. Randy, okay, there you go. I know he's got his camera kind of in a different spot. So Randy, if there you
I'm
go.
here. I thought I heard my name. Sorry.
Yep. Perfect. Well, Randy is, I'm going to let him introduce himself. He's one of our GMA team members, and he's been actively involved in our space. And he's been on a couple calls with us prior to this, talking about on the HR side, the PPP and the EIDL program. And I know that there's been some updates and some changes, and I'd ask him to kind of join us and give us a quick summary of what's going on as it relates to the programs that are available for workforce.
Yes. Good morning, all. Randy Brunson with Centurion Advisory Group. It's hard to describe what a full schedule we are running. Just by way of introduction and our background, sort of where we serve is we are a comprehensive personal and business financial planning firm. Okay. Cash flow allocation, tax reduction, retirement plan design, preparation for the future, budgeting, investment management, those kinds of things. All right. And so for many businesses, there are just so many changes. And the thing that we have been fully immersed in for the last 8 or 9 days, since Friday, the week before last, is the CARES Act. Okay. And there are a couple of components of the CARES Act, 2 or 3 components that touch almost everyone. There is the individual benefit, what's called the recovery rebate. Very briefly, the recovery rebate involves $1,200 coming to each person, $2,400 to the household if it's a married couple or partner situation where there's a joint tax return filed, okay? And as long as the household, as long as the individual earns less than 75,000 or the household earns less than 150,000. That's a brief summary, okay? So that's a function of the tax return, either 2018 or if 2019 has been filed, 2019. So that will touch a lot of you, but in particular, it will touch a lot of your employees. So those households that are married filing jointly should expect to receive $2,400 cash, $1,200 if they're single, and $500 for each child under the age of 17. Okay, so that's in the works. Then there's also the unemployment benefits, in addition to the state unemployment benefits for those that are either on furlough or have been laid off, terminated, and those are two separate definitions. They qualify for state unemployment benefits, and then the CARES Act also provided an additional $600 a month. Excuse me, a lot of information. $600 a week, okay, in addition to the state unemployment benefits. All of those benefits are available for a full 26 weeks. Typically, unemployment benefits last for about 13 weeks. The CARES Act doubles the time frame to 2 quarters, and it adds $600. All of the unemployment benefits will be administered through the State Department of Labor. So this is an online arrangement. So, for example, one of our clients is a tier 2 supplier to it's a manufacturing company that's a tier 2 supply to the auto industry. Okay, people aren't buying cars. Detroit sent everybody home, so it's rolling down. So this employer has gone on, put their people on furlough. We'll bring you back, but it's basically a shutdown if you're familiar working with a manufacturing environment where they do shutdowns to do major upgrades to their manufacturing lines and some things like that. So their employees will qualify for the state benefits as well as for that extra $600 a week available through the CARES Act. Okay, it's retroactive to March 29th. It lasts until at least July the 31st. Okay, so let's segue over to the Paycheck Protection Act. All right, and that impacts every business with fewer than 500 employees. And if it's a business in the restaurant or hotel space, and that's a function of the NAICS code or the SIC code, okay, then it's 500 employees per location. And that will impact a few large companies, the Hilton brand, some of the major flags in the hotel business, the restaurant business, where they might have, if you go downtown into the city, you might have a hotel with 1,000 employees. Okay, so that's not going to touch many of us, but the Paycheck Protection Program loan arrangement will touch many of us. Okay, so here's what we know at the moment. Under the CARES Act, and this changes hourly, under the CARES Act, there were $349 billion allocated to be administered by the Small Business Administration, SBA, website's sba.gov. I recommend it. And that $349 billion was to be available under a Paycheck Protection Program loan arrangement. Okay. And the way it works is if your business has fewer than 500 employees, you can apply for a paycheck protection loan. Operationally, you work with your banker. And here's the 2 things that you hope and pray for. Number 1, that you have a good relationship with your banker. Number 2, that the banker that you know personally or somebody that they know in their organization is the person that manages or works with the SBA in that bank. Okay, all right. Because what's been happening over the last week, every bank has its own supporting documentation guidelines. Okay, there is no underwriting. The process is self-certifying. So basically you sign a 2-page form, and you can find this on the SBA website. It's form 4283. It's SBA form 4283. It's a 4-page document. Only the first 2 pages matter, where you fill it out and you sign. It's a self-certification form that you affirm that your business has been negatively impacted by what's going on. Okay, then the bank will send you a checklist of documents that they want as supporting documentation for their file, and they take this form 4283 that you've signed, they attach it to their lender form called 4284, and they submit this to the SBA. Sounds simple, right? All right. Banks are absolutely inundated. Okay. I have talked with people that bank with Bank of America, PNC, Fifth Third, Renascent, Regions, and Synovus. Okay. And it seems that some of the regionals and super regionals are doing a better job for most businesses than the nationals like Wells, Bank of America, and so on and so forth. All right. I've talked to a number of people that have had success with Bank of America, but these are long-standing manufacturing companies of size and that have credit cards, a number of accounts, payroll accounts, operating accounts, where they have an established business or relationship with a commercial banker. Okay, if you're self-employed with Bank of America, you're struggling trying to get through this program because you're too small. All right, we bank at Renascent. We have all of our documentation submitted. I did it Sunday afternoon. The relationship manager there that's working this, a commercial loan officer, he sent an email to 60 people Monday morning. He said, I'm at capacity. I'm working these 60 loans. If you're getting this email, you're one of those, you're on the list. I'm not returning phone calls. I'm not returning emails until at least Wednesday. If I need information for you, you will get an email from me. Basically, leave me alone and let me work these files, okay? So what we've learned so far is that I've received 2 or 3 emails because we have a large distribution list. We did a webinar on this last Friday afternoon and have been in touch with a number of these people. One guy that banks with B of A has been approved by the SBA and is waiting on the SBA loan document so that he can sign and get his check. I heard from someone else, and as far as they have gotten is they have sent an email through their bank's website to say, where do we start with this? And they have received one of those auto reply email acknowledgements that we got your email, we will be in touch. They haven't even submitted documentation yet or signed the form. So it varies greatly based on your banking relationships. But here's our understanding of what expenses qualify for this loan and then how this loan is forgiven. Okay, here's what we understand today, and this is subject to change without notice and immediately, because typically with legislation, just for a framework, typically when Congress passes legislation, then if it's tax legislation, it goes to the Treasury Department and Treasury develops regulations. So it's legislation, regulation, those are always proposed regs. There's a comment period by allied professionals, and then there's final regulations. The journey from legislation to final regulation is a minimum of 6 months, and I've seen it take 24 months. So we're attempting to pass a law and have it signed into law on the last day of March, last Friday of March, and then start disbursing funds by the first Friday of April. It is an absolute, I mean, it's overwhelmed the banking and SBA systems, all right? But it's our current understanding that the banks and the SBA will look at your 2019 and first quarter 2020 payroll, gross payroll, and they will take an average monthly number, multiply it times 2.5. What if you've hired somebody in the fourth quarter of 2019 or first quarter of 2020 so that your payroll's higher? We believe they will take that into account. I believe that's a bank by bank assessment and decision. Know your banker. Just pray that you've already established that relationship, because now's not the time to do it. Okay. Right. All right. That qualifies. What we don't know yet is whether rent and utilities and some other expenses qualify as part of a loan amount. Okay. Original legislation indicated that, but we would accept payroll. Then once you get the loan, as long as 75% of the proceeds are used for payroll for the 8 weeks beginning from the day you get the loan, but no further than June 30th, which means the expectation is that all the loan funds will be disbursed by the end of April. Okay. Then, as long as 75% of the loan proceeds are used for payroll, 100% of that loan will be forgiven, and that loan forgiveness will not come back to the business nor to the business owner as taxable income. So that's where things stand right now. I could go into great detail about the emails I've been getting and where people are in this process, but effectively, it is the guidelines are being developed, and where people are in the loan process varies based on so many factors. But that's an update right now.
That's
And that touched the EIDL program, the $10,000 advance, and the Economic Injury Disaster Relief Fund. That's just a short summary.
Okay, perfect. Man, that is spot on. Is exactly what I was hoping to get. I'll give you my experience. So, I banked with 3 or 4 different banks, but the one I primary bank with is Synovus. They said that the loan should be able to be applied for on Friday, is what the conversation was. Well, Friday at 6:30, I got an email that said, you're eligible to submit paperwork. Filled out all the paperwork Friday. Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, I got an email that said you need to do this. Saturday at noon, after I completed that, they sent me another email that said we need a little bit more documentation. Saturday evening, I got another email that said we need to change 1 or 2 things. And then finally, I got everything done. I thought we were set. There wasn't much more that they could ask for other than a blood sample. But I finally got that piece done, and they said, well, your calculations were wrong because they wanted to submit, what your rent, your payroll, your utilities, all of that, what the combined number was. And I put that in. So the form, just so you know, the way that Synovus explained it to me, that the form that the SBA takes is what your average payroll is, that number from monthly average payroll, times 2.5% is the only thing that you can apply for the loan. Now, you can use the loan proceeds for your rent and utilities and payroll, but you can only apply. So I had calculated back in my rent and utilities on top of, this is my average payroll, and then the next box over is what the loan amount is. The loan amount can only be 2.5 times whatever your payroll is. So that's the way that Synovus fed it back to me. And so I had to make that one last change. I made that change yesterday. So we'll see kind of where things go from there.
One comment that may impact a number of people on this call is the definition of income for these purposes, for payroll for these purposes. Okay, because we have a client, and anyway, 10, 15 employees. His salary, this is intentional, 100% owner of the business. It's a flow-through business with a sub-S election. Okay, he sets his salary at $25,000 a year. Okay, his K1 is larger than that. I'll leave it at that. Okay, right. And so what I've learned is that if you are intentionally set your salary low to minimize your FICA taxes, and you have a substantial K1, then you can backfill up to that $100,000 limit, because on qualifying payroll is limited to $100,000 per employee. So any of your employees, including you, that earn more than $100,000 a year, so qualifying payroll for loan purposes is limited to that $100,000. So if that's you and you're the owner, but you have 6 figures or more coming through a K1, then you can use those K1 proceeds to backfill up to that $100,000.
Okay. That's very helpful.
Okay.
All right. Cool. All right, guys. Well, this is, the Randy, again, thank you so much for this insight. This is, we're going to open the call up. If anybody's got any question, Rogers.
I've got a hint for folks.
Okay.
If you're going to the grocery store, you're probably going to pay by credit card. Tape a piece of string to your credit card so you can pull the string to pull the credit card out of your pocket rather than fish inside your pocket.
Huh. Interesting. Nice. Cool. All right. Anybody else got any other questions, comments, thoughts? We actually, this is perfect timing. What I do want to do is I just want to go around the kind of crew, and one of the things we always do is ask you what your favorite part about today was. Joy, share with us, what's your favorite part about today?
Hey, I really like your presentation there towards the end on with the loan. I mean, everything was great, but that has been, I think I'm attending it seems like a conference a day on all of these different federal programs available, some which we qualify for, we're too small, and others not. So anytime you hear something where somebody hasn't experienced themselves this particular question or this particular form, it's very helpful to other people that are going through that process.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was very helpful to me. Everything else was great, but that was especially helpful. Thank you.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Miss Joy. Sloan, share with us. What was your favorite part about today?
Frankly, Roger just reminded me of that safety hierarchy pyramid. I mean, it's so funny how oftentimes we can take that pyramid, just flip it upside down, the complete wrong direction, lose sight of really what works and what we ought to be focusing on, and really just keep working towards the bottom of that funnel. And Randy, thank you as well for your insight. Basically, it reminded me a lot of what we went through yesterday, complete pain in the butt, and the form that we had to fill out. If we didn't do it in time or we went idle because something else came up, it would automatically kick us out. We had to go back in and re-enter all of that data again. That happened like 2 times, and that's a lot of work doing that. But fortunately, we got it all done, just like everyone, just waiting to hear back.
Okay, cool. I will share Jason's tip. Now, Jason is not a bookkeeper. Jason does not do administrative stuff well at all. That's not my space. But if you're forced to do it, you figure out efficiencies. So I have a coronavirus folder on my desktop, and anything related to anything money-wise or this whole package gets dumped in there, and then I can drag and drop really, really quickly to fill those forms out because they were asking to do the DocuSign and attach all the documents that support all the supporting documents of all the numbers that we put in. And so it was just really make sure that you name them, what you're looking for, so it makes it easier to dump those over. So that's Jason's cheat of the day, right? All right, Mr. James, what's your favorite part about the call today?
Thank you. My favorite part is I love learning new things, and it seems we're learning how innovative everybody, whether they're in finance, manufacturing, whatever. Mm-hmm. And not a new word to the dictionary, but it seems like we're all on a pivot right now. Mm-hmm. Pivoting how we can operate our businesses more safely, pivoting to what business is still there, because obviously a lot is not. But overall, I wanted to thank you, Jason, for I called you Thursday and you invited Joe and I to be a part of this, and I'm just so glad. I'm a sales guy. I love connecting with people, and this has just been a great platform to connect with a whole lot more people.
Cool. We're really proud you guys are on the call with us, and I know you're adding some value to a lot of the manufacturers that need the services. So thanks again for offering that special friends and family to the GMA crew for sure. So thanks. All right, Miss Callie, what was your favorite part about the call?
Well, I'm just glad that I was able to be on the call. This was not something I was planning on doing this morning, so got tossed into it last minute. But it's comforting to know that we're not alone in this. We're all facing these challenges, and I'm getting all these questions that I don't know the answers to out there in the field. So seeing you guys go through it and talk through it, and that's been very helpful.
All right. Perfect. Thank you for stepping up on a short notice. I do want to let you know, though, we do have a whole library of calls that we've done over the last 2 months that are archived. We have them on HR. We have them on finance. We have legal. We've got a legal call coming up tomorrow. It's a fantastic call. We're laying out the schedule for that. We'll be talking all different sorts of stuff on contracts and, employees and a variety of different things on that. But if you go to Manufacturing News Network and go all the way down to the bottom, you can see a whole list of things there. One thing I will request everybody on this call to do is to go to our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube, look up Georgia Manufacturing Alliance, and subscribe to our channel. We have the coronavirus broken down into 2 sections. One is for interviews, where I did one-on-one interviews with top leaders around the state. And then the other is roundtable. So coronavirus roundtable. So this call will be hosted both on our YouTube channel as well as Manufacturing News Network down at the bottom. But those kind of toggle through over time. So, and we're doing a call a day and 2 on some days. So, All right. So thanks again, Callie, for being part of the day and sharing your insights there. All right, Mr. Roger Grabman, what was your favorite part about the call today?
The sharing.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate you bringing that insights on the
The pyramid.
pyramid. Yeah, my brain just freaking shut off. Sorry about that.
I've emailed it to
Right.
you.
Perfect. Thanks. All right. Beautiful. Miss Koki, what was your favorite part about the day?
Me? I'm sorry.
I think Koki was going to click something and she clicked end. So we'll circle back around to that in just a second. Right. Randy, what was your favorite part about the call today?
Learning two things: learning what's going on around the business space. You know, how people are doing, what they're finding, what they're experiencing, and then simply being able to share. We will do some additional webinars.
Okay.
So if anyone wants to be a part of those webinars, look me up on LinkedIn, go to our website, something like that. Find us and say, hey, put me on the list. But I enjoy sharing because this is such a critical time, and there's so many moving parts with some of this legislation. So
Yeah. Thanks again for being a resource for us, Randy. We appreciate all that feedback. All right, Mr. Weber.
Another consideration,
Yeah.
Jason.
Mhm.
Ventilation would be important for reducing the viral load, airborne viral load.
Okay.
So if you have the ability to open windows and get air flowing through, that will decrease the viral load in a room.
Okay. Cool. Nice. Well, I'm keep them open if we can, for sure. Miss Joy.
Jason, may I ask a question? I'm cheating a little bit, so I'm sorry. I want to know, I went to YouTube.
Mhm.
Which one of these would you, I see all your different interviews, right? There's a town hall and a couple other things. Which one do you recommend that we subscribe to? Is there a general overall?
Well, if you go to the Georgia Manufacturing Alliance YouTube channel, just subscribe to the channel, and
Oh,
that
that's
should.
so, yeah, I'm on the app. It's not pulling up for me. I'll do it. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right,
Yep.
sure.
Sorry about that. Sorry
Not a
for the
problem.
interruption, guys.
Great question. All right, Mr. Brian Weber, what was your favorite part about the call?
No, it continues to reinforce what I'm learning from a couple of my other clients. And one of us yesterday mentioned that they eliminated touchpads and, really kind of micromanaging their labor force. And this is, I think this is an opportunity for management to show labor that there's a trust that can be reestablished between safety, HR, and ops. That times like this require management to loosen up on its micromanagement of labor, and labor will understand that.
Yep.
They're in this now because it's important to their families. It's not just about money; it's about their health. So I think we're seeing a big opportunity to build trust between management and labor, and that's kind of what everybody here today has been talking about. That even though we're talking about money and this and that, it's really coming down to that.
Right.
As we get ready for the exit from this and into something next.
Yep. Very cool. Appreciate that insight. All right, Miss Brittany, what was your favorite part about the call? Up. We can't hear you. Up. We can't. No, I can't hear you yet. No. Okay, so she's gonna do sign language. There you go. All right, Heather.
My favorite part is just how informative everybody is, and everybody's heads they're sharing. So it's great for everybody to get a little piece of it and take away something today.
Perfect. Well, that sounds great. Well, guys, again, with this, I really appreciate all of you guys being on the call with us. If there's things that you see or topics that you'd like to get covered that we don't have available or we've not addressed so far, feel free to email us. You can copy the group chat. There's a lot of information that's over there. Again, we're here. We're committed to help support you in any way that we can. I will tell you one thing, though. As soon as I record this call and put it out on YouTube, I'm going turkey hunting. So that's the game for me. My son has found apparently 1,100 acres. A buddy of his said we could go hunt as much as we want to. So we went and spent way more than we should have at Bass Pro Shop last night, but we are fully decked out in turkey gear, or we'll be in about an hour. So I will let you know how that turns out. And we may have wild turkey, the other wild turkey at my house very soon. Guys, again, thank you guys for being part of this day. Roger, you had something? Oh, everybody wave and smile and wave, smile and wave, smile and wave. All right, going once, going twice, smile. All right, cool. All right, guys, we'll get this posted soon. You have a great day, and we will talk soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Jason.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye-bye.